The knock came at 11:47 p.m., 3 sharp raps that pierced through the silence of Marcus Webb's tiny apartment like gunshots. His heart seized. Nobody knocked that late with good news. Nobody knocked that late at all, not in this building, not in this neighborhood where people minded their own business and kept their doors locked after dark. Marcus froze at the kitchen sink, dish soap dripping from his hands, his 6-year-old daughter Emma's favorite unicorn plate suspended mid-rinse. Through the thin walls, he could hear Mrs. Chen's television murmuring in Cantonese next door. Down the hall, someone's bass line thumped a steady rhythm. But at his door, silence now. Waiting. 3 more knocks. Harder this time. Dad. Emma's sleepy voice drifted from the bedroom they shared, the one with the mattress on the floor and her drawings taped to every wall. Is someone here? Stay in bed, sweetheart, Marcus called softly, drying his hands on his jeans. His mind raced through possibilities, each worse than the last. The landlord, maybe, finally making good on his eviction threats. The police. His ex-wife's lawyer. He approached the door like it might explode, peering through the peephole. His breath caught. Victoria Ashford stood in the fluorescent hallway, her tailored charcoal suit somehow still crisp despite the hour, her silver hair pulled back in that familiar tight bun. His boss. The CEO of Ashford Industries. The woman whose corner office overlooked the entire city skyline while Marcus cleaned it every night after everyone went home. His hands trembled as he unlocked the deadbolt. Ms. Ashford. Is everything, did I forget something at the office? Is there a problem with? May I come in, Marcus? Her voice was different, softer than the clipped, efficient tone she used during the day. Her eyes, he'd never really looked at her eyes before, always kept his gaze respectfully lowered, were red-rimmed. Tired. He stepped back, suddenly hyper-aware of the peeling linoleum, the thrift store furniture, Emma's cereal bowl still on the coffee table from that morning. Victoria Ashford had probably never been in a place like this. Her shoes probably cost more than his rent. She entered slowly, taking in the space without judgment, without the barely concealed pity he'd learned to recognize. When her gaze landed on Emma's drawings, elaborate princess castles and rainbow families, something in her expression cracked. I overheard you today, she said quietly. In the break room. You didn't know I was in the copy room. Marcus's stomach dropped. The conversation with Janet from accounting flooded back. They'd been alone, or so he'd thought. Janet had asked about his Thanksgiving plans, and he'd laughed it off, said something about how every day was Thanksgiving when you had a kid like Emma, how they didn't need a fancy turkey dinner to be grateful for each other. How Emma had told him that morning she didn't mind that they couldn't afford the class field trip to the Science Museum because she liked their weekend trips to the free library just as much. He'd been trying to stay positive. Trying not to let Janet see how the weight of it all, the double shifts, the maxed-out credit cards, the constant calculations of whether to fix the car or buy Emma new shoes, was crushing him. Ms. Ashford, I didn't mean to, I would never want you to think. You said something else. She turned to face him fully now, and he saw tears threatening at the corners of those steel-gray eyes. Janet asked if you'd requested time off for Emma's birthday next week. You said you'd work the overnight shift instead because the overtime would mean you could buy her that bicycle she'd been drawing pictures of. The purple one with the streamers. His face burned. This was it. She'd come to tell him that discussing personal finances at work was unprofessional. That janitors should be invisible, silent. That he'd crossed a line. Say that again, Victoria whispered. What you said after that. About why you took this job. Say it again, Marcus. Her voice caught. But look at me when you say it. He swallowed hard, forcing himself to meet her gaze. The words came back reluctantly, pulled from the vulnerable place he usually kept locked away. I told Janet that this job, working for Ashford Industries, it's the best thing that ever happened to me and Emma. That it has benefits, stability. That even if I'm just the guy who empties the trash cans, I'm proud to be part of something bigger. That every night when I clean that building, I imagine Emma growing up and maybe working in a place like that someday. Not as a janitor, but as someone important. Someone who matters. A tear slipped down Victoria's cheek. She didn't wipe it away. My father started Ashford Industries in a garage 43 years ago, she said. He died 6 months ago. Pancreatic cancer. Fast and brutal. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. Everyone at his funeral talked about his business genius, his wealth, his legacy. But you know what he told me the night before he died? He said the thing he was most proud of was that he'd built a company where people like you, decent, hardworking people, could provide for their families with dignity. Marcus didn't know what to say. Victoria crossed to the window, looking out at the city lights. I've been running that company for 6 months, Marcus. 6 months of board meetings and quarterly reports and strategic initiatives. I've been so focused on profits and margins that I forgot why any of it matters. She turned back. Until tonight. Until I heard you talk about my father's company, my company, with more pride and purpose than I've felt in months. She reached into her purse, pulled out an envelope. Marcus's hands moved automatically to refuse it, to explain he didn't want charity, but she pressed it into his palm with surprising firmness. Inside is a letter, she said. I'm creating a new position at Ashford, Director of Facilities and Operations. It comes with a salary, benefits, and office. The job is yours if you want it. You've been running that building better than anyone knew. It's time we all knew it. Ms. Ashford, I can't, I'm not qualified. You're more qualified than you know. You see things others miss. You care about that building, those people, in a way that can't be taught. She smiled, and it transformed her face into something human, warm. But that's not why I came here at midnight, Marcus. She pulled out a second envelope. Smaller. This is a check. It's the exact cost of a purple bicycle with streamers, plus a helmet, and tickets to the Science Museum's entire family membership for a year. When he opened his mouth to protest, she held up her hand. This isn't charity. This is me honoring my father. He used to buy every employee's kid a birthday gift when the company was small enough for him to know them all. I'm bringing that tradition back. Emma's birthday is first. Marcus's vision blurred. His throat closed up. Why? He managed to whisper. Because you reminded me what this is all for. Because my father built something that matters, and I'd forgotten. She moved toward the door, then paused. And Marcus, bring Emma by the office next week. There's a vice president I want her to meet who started in the mailroom. Let's make sure that imagination of hers knows how high it can reach. After she left, Marcus stood holding those envelopes, tears streaming freely now. Behind him, Emma's soft footsteps padded across the floor. Dad, why are you crying? He swept her into his arms, holding her tight enough to feel her heartbeat against his chest. Because sometimes, baby girl, the world reminds you that kindness is real. That people see us. That we matter. We always mattered, Dad, Emma said with 6-year-old certainty, patting his cheek. And maybe that was the real miracle, not Victoria's midnight visit or the bicycle or the job offer. Maybe it was this, that his daughter had never once doubted her worth, because every single day, through every struggle, Marcus had made sure she knew she was loved, valued, and seen. But now the world was starting to see it too. And that, Marcus thought as he tucked Emma back into bed and kissed her forehead, was worth every late night, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt that had brought him to this point. Sometimes kindness knocks at midnight. And sometimes, it changes everything.